Let's talk about Baghead Jason Voorhees and why he's so freaking awesome. When you notice him absolutely booking it towards the shed through the window, it is just an absolutely horrifying thing to behold. He's a beast, but he's also vulnerable. Like when he's getting attacked by a chainsaw and his reaction is just like, bro, that's not fair. But let's start from the beginning. And if you're new here, please like and subscribe and just enjoy yourself. Okay, let's get into it.
So now this phenomenon takes place, and Friday the 13th opens around the world, and it's a big hit. And the powers that be said, we have to make a sequel. And I'm saying, why did you make a sequel? Mrs. Voorhees is dead, and the image of Jason in the lake is completely a fabrication of the mind. I don't know what in the world we could do for a sequel.
Opportunist film producer Sean Cunningham kind of made a whoopsie. He hadn't been trying to become a horror guy. He was just trying to get some of that sweet Halloween-adjacent slasher money and move on. But 1980s Friday the 13th had been so successful that the powers that be wanted a sequel almost immediately, which makes sense, but Cunningham wasn't about to dedicate his life to this shit. So they promoted from within, giving a bunch of guys who had worked various roles in previous Cunningham productions an opportunity to make their very own Friday. And by make their own Friday, this of course means pretty much making the same movie over again.
I told the others, they didn't believe me.
The camp, the doom prophet, the boobs, it's all the same. But more of the same.
You're all doomed. You're all doomed.
As salient as Friday the 13th was for crystallizing slashers into a mass-producible commodity in a rigid formula, Friday the 13th Part 2 is nearly as salient, executing on that promise of repeatable pleasures and profits. It puts into practice the ironclad logic that Friday the 13th is a movie that benefits from more. More ridiculous kills, more canoodling and oblivious teens, more frivolous dialogue and exaggerated characters, more jump scares. However, one thing has changed. We now have ourselves a new killer. Our last killer, Mrs. Voorhees, died due to an unfortunate incident involving a machete lopping off her frickin' head. This time around, her son Jason is our baddie, and he's out for revenge. Or something like that. Who the hell knows what this man's motivation is? Well, the first kill of the movie seems to be an act of revenge, at least. We see our final girl from the previous film, Alice, laying low after the trauma she went through of being forced to lop the head off a psychotic elderly woman and then being attacked by a boy Jason in the lake. Or something like that. Who the hell knows what happened at the end of that movie? Was it real? Was it a dream? Who cares? It doesn't matter. Anyway, Alice now spends her time napping and indulging in some weird-ass artwork. And Jason comes through doing his best Al Snow impersonation before stabbing Alice with an ice pick. Okay, now let's talk about Jason. If you were to start asking random people on the street to describe their conception of Jason Voorhees, the common answer would be of a man in a hockey mask wielding any number of sharp cutting instruments. But as all us age nerds know, it wasn't until Friday Part 3 came along that Jason stole a new outfit off a clothesline and commandeered a hockey mask from a weekending weirdo that we ultimately got our signature look. The utilitarian one that came before it, though, goes with the Jason Voorhees who's the most recognizably human, with all the limitation that entails and the clearest motivation for going on a killing spree. Or as clear as one could be. Following the formula of the original Friday, which kept the identity of its killer a mystery until the final 20 minutes, we don't get a clear view of Jason until we reach the home stretch. And once it's down to him and our new final girl, Jenny, he takes a lot of punishment, even appearing to be knocked out at one point. This time around, Jason was played, for the most part, by stuntman Steve Dash, who, after retiring from the New York City Police Department, got a start in the business at a relatively late age. After a few small roles, he got his first big break playing Jason.
And he called me up and he said, you know, I got this film we're doing, Jason, and the guy they hired, he can't do it, you know, and you're perfect for the role, we're gonna fire the guy. I said, Jason? He said, yes. What's the name of the film? He said, Jason. I said, really? And you want me for Jason? He said, yeah. I said, I got the lead role in film. This is great. So he takes me in, we get the wardrobe, I put the coveralls on, the shirt and everything, and we come out, and he looks, he says, good, good. He says, get the bag. So Cliff says, okay. I said, wait a minute, what bag are they talking about? He said, well, they got a bag over your head. I said, they got a bag over my head? I got the lead role in the film, and I got a bag over my head.
Jason, this time around, is basically portrayed as a hillbilly. He's wearing denim overalls with a plaid shirt underneath, jeans, black work boots, and of course, the burlap sack with only one eye hole cut out and a rope tied around his neck to hold the sack in place. It looks like something Jason made himself, which makes sense, as he can't exactly go to a Boscov's and pick something out. His hair is also long and shaggy, which leads to an amusing continuity error when Jason is suddenly bald at the beginning of part 3. Now, some people have argued that Jason's first time as the killer has not aged well at all. For every intimidating moment, it is almost immediately ruined by how clumsy he is. These days, Jason is known for his efficiency, but in Friday the 13th Part 2, he trips and falls more than the people he kills. But that just adds to the charm, and frankly, he's all the more scary because of it. He's not exactly a mythical figure, he's just some guy trying his darndest to wipe you off this earth.
Yeah, it's been good to me. I can't criticize it, you know, and I gotta be honest with you, now that I did it, and I went back and I look at the other Friday the 13th, I think mine was the better one, not for nothing.
I agree.
I mean, because the Jasons got bigger, and they were flying, and they were killing, and nobody ever fought them. In my movie, I got the shit beat out of me. I got hit with a hatchet, I got friggin' hit with a chainsaw, I fell down a friggin' cliff.
Really?
The debate between Baghead Jason and Hockey Mask Jason is a fascinating one for horror enthusiasts. Here are some reasons why many fans actually prefer Baghead Jason. Number 1, origins and realism. Baghead Jason presents a more grounded and realistic portrayal of the character. His appearance emphasizes his raw human side, making him more of a believable and relatable antagonist. This portrayal roots Jason in a more gritty and unsettling reality. Number 2, symbol of vulnerability. The sack over Jason's head symbolizes his vulnerability and deformity, enhancing his tragic backstory. It highlights his human aspects and his evolution from a tormented child to a vengeful adult, creating a more complex and layered character. Number 3, atmospheric horror. Baghead Jason adds to the rustic, eerie atmosphere of the early films. His makeshift disguise fits perfectly with the raw, isolated setting of Crystal Lake, amplifying the tension and suspense in a way that feels organic and overt. Number 4, psychological edge. This version of Jason has a psychological edge, as his rudimentary appearance invokes a sense of desperation and unpredictability. The lack of a polished look makes him appear more erratic and dangerous, contributing to a heightened sense of fear. Number 5, nostalgia and purity. For some fans, Baghead Jason represents the purity of the early franchise before it became heavily commercialized. His portrayal in Part 2 is seen as a throwback to classic slasher films where simplicity and unpolished horror were dominant. Number 6, unique and memorable. While the hockey mask is undoubtedly classic, the burlap sack offers a distinct and unsettling visual that stands out in the crowded field of horror villains. Overall, Baghead Jason offers a bleak, primal, and psychologically intriguing alternative that some fans find more compelling and terrifying. This might just be the best Jason, because he's the Jason that we get to watch as he learns the extent of his abilities. He's the Jason that gets to be a bad guy instead of an anti-hero. He's the Jason that's shrouded in mystery and a bag, and the Jason that actually has a slight chance of losing. But what say you? Do you prefer one mask over the other? Do you enjoy them both? Do you hate them both? Though that would be pretty weird. Why would you be watching this video? Anyway, share your thoughts in the comment section